That's the lowest key intro I reckon you've ever given.
Well, it's all business tonight. It's all
All
about
business.
it's all business.
Well, let's start with business. Anyone who travelled up to the Gabba or travelled to the Gabba from anywhere, I say, as a matter of business, keep all your receipts, nail them to an invoice, and send them to the Carlton Footy Club because our team didn't turn up.
That's a good start to the show. That's a good. All the supporters did show up, and none of the players turned up. So that's a good thing. It's like they didn't show up. It's like a B grade version of Carlton, or a 2002 version of Carlton showed up.
Yeah, and we just can't travel. I mean, it was exactly the same feeling as the Gold Coast game, all over again. Carbon copy.
In the Adelaide game.
And the Adelaide game. I didn't see the Adelaide game live. Well, I didn't see the Gold Coast game live, but it's just what it felt like.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in, my name is Trevor Wallard. For those who don't know me, and for those who do know me, my name is still Trevor Wallard.
Starting with the gags early.
I deal with pain with humour. Sometimes it gets me in a lot of trouble. Sometimes it helps me just get by through the problems of my life. And Carlton Football Club contribute to a lot of those problems in my mental state a lot of the time, in my alcoholic state. So in terms of sending them receipts, I can send them a receipt for 2 bottles of Starwood whiskey.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that's something that I won't get back that time. No, good evening, everyone. Richie Benakaza, thank you for joining us as always. Carly Bumbus, great to see you. Tanya Berger, thank you for tuning in. Anthony Walsh, a great friend of our show, thank you very much. Richie Benakaza has got it in one.
Yeah, fuck them, no votes.
No
that's
votes.
easy.
That's it, the fucking votes. Blake Harrelson, thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you joining us. Josh Kirby, g'day, buddy. If Cripps doesn't get off, AFL is rigged. Well, we know it's fucking rigged anyway. Josh, we are on to a live feed of the tribunal as we speak, so we'll keep you updated and abreast of all things going on. Our season may just hinge on the result tonight to not put too much of a fine point on it. Is that a fair statement, Johnny?
Yeah, I think so, mate. Look, fuck them. Yeah.
Andrew Lake always makes me feel better, and he's joining in the gags. I see trees of green, skies of blues. I think to myself, what a mess we have made. That's a very good point. It was trees of green and skies of blue early in the season, and it's just gone to shit, hasn't it? It's just gone to shit.
Yeah.
I'll ask everyone a few questions that have been going around. There's been a bit of I don't know what it is. There's been a few people saying, we should be happy with the season. Oh, it's our best season for a long time. We've got 12 wins, yada, yada, yada. I don't know whether those people are just trying to convince themselves and save themselves a bit of pain moving forward, just in case we don't go into finals. But yeah, we've said it before. It's a fucking wasted season if we don't make finals.
Yeah, and I don't know who watched the game on Friday night. I certainly did. And Jesus Christ, we're nowhere near those two teams, and we've got them in the next 2 weeks. So there has to be a complete reversal of form, and one of those teams would have to be flat as a tack for us to win and get into finals.
The fucking stupid part about it is, I don't know what you take out of our little 3-quarter run episode, whether the game was over or you thought, we finally tried to pull our finger out. I don't know what you make of that. I don't know what you take out of the game. What does everyone else take out of the game? What does everyone think about a little 3-quarter effort run? Was it too little, too late? Where did we lose it? What do you think is going to happen for the next 2 weeks? I think a lot of people have got their opinion. Brad Millers says our fringe players are not up to it. That's a fair call. Josh Kirk thought we were going to win it in the last quarter. Jeez, I didn't let myself get that far ahead, but just just to see that, and again, the game's over for all intents and purposes, isn't it?
It was.
Brisbane brought the heat on when the game needed to be won, and we didn't bring the heat on when it needed to be won. Our contested possession matched theirs. That was something that we brought to the contest, a contested possession. We got smashed. We got smashed in the middle. I think the centre clearances was about 150 to theirs to 3 of ours, which translated into their inside 50 numbers being ridiculously high. And I think 5 of their 8 goals in the first, or 5 of their first 8 goals was a result of our stupid turnovers. And then back to our fringe players, I think the majority of those were that. But the turnovers always come from pressure, and that's where we wilt, and that's why we're not up to that standard. That's the pressure.
I just want to keep going with the gags. You just light things up. Wasn't a gag, but funny comment. Brendan Whitford, earlier comment, ended up watching Paw Patrol in the last quarter with his daughter. Yeah. Far more entertaining.
Very nice. Yep.
We ended up leaving probably 10 minutes before the game ended, just to get a spot at the bar just over the road. And the game was done and dusted. We were kicking a couple of goals, and we walked over and finally got to the pub, and we were 15 points down. Yeah, we're not going to win this. And then obviously they kicked those last 3 goals in the last 3 minutes and went back, pushed it back out to 30 points. It was never in any danger, I thought, watching it from the ground.
As Andrew said, we got to 15 points. Brisbane just said, fuck it, this, we're not, what's going on here? We'll just reset and go again. And that's what they did, and just went bang, 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 and said, see you later, get it back on your plane.
Yeah, that's right. And Phil had his wife, Brisbane supporting wife, all full of grog. Phil, did you go to the pre-match function? I want to talk about that in a minute. But plenty of grog under the belt, and she was smiling like a Cheshire cat until 3/4 time. I suppose if you were a Brisbane supporter, you would have been sweating a bit. But us knowing Carlton too well, it's never in danger.
Yeah. Okay, as we all know, Cripps is at the tribunal. I'll go through a couple of things that's going on from that tribunal and to keep you updated in that respect. Just after I do that, Johnny, I'll be interested to hear on what you think will happen, whether you think he should have been up there. Do you think he'll get off? But the argument that our lawyer is making against what the AFL are saying is that it wasn't a bump. So, they're for a start, and this is just recently, so all of the evidence has been handed down and the jury is off to deliberate. An even contest, said Cripps' lawyer, consequence of impact do not determine the reasonableness of an action. Concussion is serious in sport, but it's not to be explained away by blaming players all the time. On occasion, there will be injuries. Players do and can get hurt. Like I said, rough conduct was the charge, and the lawyer said rough conduct, and that there was a bump. Our counsel, or Cripps' counsel, has directly contradicted that to say that there wasn't a bump. And people may have seen a couple of posts we put up of some video from behind the event, and to me, that didn't seem like a bump. It looked pretty full on from the media and the visual stuff that's been going around. But when you see it from that angle, you see Cripper fly for a ball. He's not flying for a mark, but flying for a handball. He's trying to get that ball, and he's probably the only way he's going to do it is to try and jump over Archie. But there's clearly no bump. He's got 2 outstretched arms to try and get it. So, look, by the looks of things, we've put up some pretty good evidence or some pretty good argument in opposition to the charge. And who the fuck knows what's going to happen from now.
Yeah, look, at the ground, and I must have been sitting on the same side as the cameras because I said immediately that's 2 weeks he won't play again in the home and away. And I still don't reckon he'll get off purely because it's outcome-based. This kid, Archie, is in concussion protocols. Probably, he can't play this week. I think that's how it goes, and he might be a second week out. So I can't see Cripps coming back in the home and away season.
I'll put this to you. Harry Mackay is going for a mark, and the Melbourne opposition this week, Harry flies up and puts a knee into the back of the skull of Jake Lever, and Jake Lever's knocked out cold.
Yeah, that's fair because if he's made a reasonable attempt, then it's just play on.
That you're talking about outcome based. Outcome based is Harry Mackay made a decision to fly for a spectacular mark, which is the basis of our fucking game, is to fly for these marks, and it's a one big feature. But had he chose not to fly for that mark and take a big specky, then Jake Lever is not going to get a knee in the back of his head and be concussed.
Yeah, but I guess that there wouldn't be a charge coming out of it, would there?
Rough contact, unreasonable? Or would unreasonable that he should have not kneed him in the head? What else could he have done?
Yeah. Yeah, I see your point. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work that way, but I just think it's an interesting way to determine the fact of these outcomes.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening, like you just said. That the outcome is the main driving force of the issue, and we saw another Essendon player get bumped or knocked or whatever. He's got up and about, he got hit in the head, whatever. He's up and about. There's no fine, but in all seriousness, we know that Cripps is not trying to knock Chi out. We also know that he didn't bump. I think it's 70-30 in our favour, to be honest.
Okay.
But
we'll see.
We will see. Hopefully the decision comes through live, and you'll either see me dance a jig or trash my office. One of those two. It'll be good for tuning in.
Stay tuned.
Thank you. Look, a few people blaming Michael Christian, and yes, he's a Collingwood flog for sure. And he's obviously been up and down with some of his decisions. He's referring to the match review officer, but that's his mandate: is to protect to protect players' heads. And we all know the concussion issues, and it's going to be a massive ongoing issue. And I'm sure there's going to be players coming out of the woodwork to sue the AFL in many years to come. So the AFL need to be showing to do whatever they can in their power in a contact sport like ours to protect the players' heads. They're going to argue that. We've got this process in place, this appeal process to go through, and that's hopefully a more conducive space where we can give our evidence and opposition to whatever the AFL's crap coming up.
Yeah, fair enough.
So stay tuned, everyone. That will happen. Okay, Johnny, you went up to Brisbane, or you went down to Brisbane. It was an enjoyable trip for you, getting away for a little bit.
Yeah, I was just saying before we got on the show, had quite a good weekend actually, and managed to wipe away all the worries of Sunday afternoon by having a couple after the game. But I got to make special mention to the Queensland supporters group and the guys who organised the Blues Brothers and so forth. Now, I was a bit late coming on board with that, so I didn't get involved in all that. But it was just so well put together, so well conceptualised, so well delivered that everyone had their shirt and their hat, and they knew where they were going. They had a bay booked out for it. It was Tony Hosnagel. Hopefully I've pronounced that correct, but it was just sensational. It was really something special to be a part of. And the guests,
everything that our show isn't organised and well put together.
That's right. Well organised, planned. No, it was great. The guests were great. They had Tony Lynn, who's
blast from the past.
Yeah, ex-Morningside, and then went to Adelaide before he went to Carlton. He spoke well, and Matty Allen, of course, was a speaker as well, and hosted by the wonderful Nick Wishart. Was just a cracking day. But one of the good ones to come out of this, and you can use this if you want, is and it's probably going to do the rounds of my footy club, is that Tony Lynn said that Matthew Allen was called the Lantern. Not too bright and had to be carried.
I like that a lot. That's good. That might apply to a couple of our players at the moment. That's good. No, that's gold. I like that one. But that's good. Yeah, look, it's obviously I'm glad you had the opportunity to see a game up there. Now you're up there living the life of Christopher Skase up there in Queensland.
I'm on the run, man. I'm on the land.
You're on the run. But and the fact that you managed to wipe away the result from your brain with copious amounts of cold ones, that also was a good move by you too.
Yeah, we started walking back to our apartment. We were staying in Milton, which is over the other side of the river, sort of the inner west, if you like. And just couldn't get an Uber, couldn't get a taxi, obviously because of the crowd. So we just holed up in this pub, and geez, it was fantastic atmosphere. We just stayed there and had a ripping time.
Good news. Good evening to everyone. Thank you for tuning in this pissy, shitty ass time of the year where we're not playing too well, and we're hanging by a thread to our spot in the 8, and it's in danger of slipping away from us. It could all turn to shit, and we can lose both our games and still make the 8. But of course, that's not what we want to try and do. It's going to be an uphill battle to do it, and yeah, I don't know. I don't even want to think about it or talk about it. I'll reserve that to after it happens, and then I'll just go all guns blazing. Yeah. Russell Dobson makes a good point here. Outcome-based. Franklin's, Cripps, Britakis, Cotchins get off these. Lesser lots have made the examples of Plowman, and we saw Hayes, get off, and that's another reason why I think 70-30 might take into account is that Cripps being one of those big names may impact the call from AFL House to say, you know what, guys, just let Cripper play. We want to try and see the Blue Boys in the finals. I'm hoping that happens anyway.
Yeah, his bums on seats. We need those tickets sold, people.
We do. And Mick Lever, you're just tuning in. The jury is deliberating right now. The argument was that there was no bump and therefore not an act of carelessness, and that he's reasonably entitled to attack the ball in that particular circumstance. And go fuck yourself, AFL. That's the argument.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, Mum. I know I'm swearing, but it's one of those nights. Brad Miller, what did we think of Martin's? I think that's input.
Yep.
I probably refuse to answer that on the grounds it may incriminate me.
Yeah, look, first three quarters, I don't think anyone really stuck their hand up, did they? I mean, it was just, but watching it from the stands, it just looked horrific. There's no other word. It just looked terrible. We just weren't switched on. We just weren't ready to play. I noticed a couple of structural things as well, sitting up in the stands where you can view the whole ground a lot better than just watching it on TV. And the second and third quarter in particular, I noticed is how we were lining up in the centre bounces behind our opponents. So we were literally giving them first use of the ball, and we were coming in second. I don't know what the theory was behind this, but whatever it was, it wasn't working because they were getting first hands to it, clearing out that little circle, and they were off to the races. I also noticed when it was coming through the centre, or when they had got some sort of space out of the centre clearances, we just sagged off. We just didn't pressure, we didn't tackle, we didn't smother, we didn't do any of that, and we just sagged off and let them run rampant. We got absolutely thrashed in the ruck again, thrashed in the rack, thrashed in the ruck.
That's another thing you might have picked up from Brisbane. I hope you didn't pick up anything like that. No monkeypox, no thrush.
And the second structural thing that was evident early in the season, which was absolutely lacking on Sunday afternoon, was running for each other, and in particular creating that link-up play on the wings. We seem to always stick to one wing, by the way, and we didn't have that hard worker to come in and to create that link-up. So it put the ball carrier and the kicker under pressure because they either go up the line to a contest, which they were winning, or they had to switch it across the ground. and Brisbane were quick enough to switch across the ground, and then we had to come back, and we didn't know what we were doing, just because we didn't put the hard yards in to create that link up play, which was very, very disappointing. And when we got to a stage where we were just bogged down because they were closing up all the gaps, that's when the mistakes happened. That's when we tried to go backwards, and they were all on top of it. Well, their structuring was really brilliant in terms of having that player. I don't know how to best describe this without a diagram, but sitting at half forward at a space where the player could intercept or at least impact something that was happening in the centre circle or just a little bit into their half back line. But he could also put pressure on the backwards kick that goes into their forward line and our back line. And you saw that happen a number of times. They used someone very, very quick off the mark to be able to come in and at least impact or at least make that kicker double think their kick, which it then puts perceived pressure on, and the fuck ups happen. Sorry, the errors happen. So just as a whole, that's a very specific example of how we're not working. We're not working for each other. We're not doing the hard work that we used to do early on in the season. And I don't know if we peaked too early in the season. I don't know if our physicals were up and all that at the start of the season, and we're well down now. That's that information that we'll never know. But we're very, very well. Phil Axe, we're very, very slow. We looked we looked like 1,000 turtles.
And that's, as I said, that's the hard part about it, isn't it? When we know we've done that before, we've had that running game, we've had that link-up game, we've moved the ball pretty quick, we've taken it on through the middle. The turnovers have been less because we've been sticking those inside shots. The turnovers have been less. We didn't stick any of our kicks inside that. We're not sticking tackles. That link-up example was absolutely perfect, and Andrew Lakes followed on from that with Sard, being in the goal square, which was something that Voss should not have never allowed. He's our main man. He's our main link-up man, and when he's running, everyone else is running and supporting.
But it shouldn't be up to one man.
It shouldn't be. But Voss shouldn't allow that to happen. If he's seeing that happen, or someone else on the field seeing that happen, we need him not as a goal square defender. We need him as where he is, a half forward running defender. That's what he needs to, what we need him for. And I'll just pose this question for some people to think about, whether Cripps is maybe absent or not. We're talking about our wings. Is it time to put Sardi up there on a wing, or even a run in the middle to change it up? We haven't seen Voss change up too many things this year. We haven't seen any plan Bs. We've seen a stick to a structure that when it doesn't work, and we lose. We haven't seen him throw the magnets around.
Is there anyone better in the competition that could run that line from back pocket to forward pocket and impact all along that line? I don't think there is, because he could deliver into the forward line. He could kick goals and go back, defend, create that run that we're talking about. He could do it all.
Well, at the moment, our forward delivery is considerably lacking. Our inside 50s are considerably lacking. The ability to hit targets inside 50. So, we know what he can do running off the half back, but running off the wing, may open up a whole different can of worms. We know he can hit blokes that are making space for themselves or on a lead. So I think it's time to move him up there. And if it means bringing someone like Stocker in and just playing him back in that role, to have a bit of a lockdown. He's not going to provide the run that Sard does, but I think Sardi might be more valuable up in the midfield somewhere.
Yeah, and just try it. It doesn't hurt for 10 minutes.
Yep, that's right. That's what I say about throwing the magnets around. And what do I know about footy? I know they train for these certain structures, and they allocate these roles, at the start of the year. But if things aren't working, it's just the old adage, isn't it? You don't make the same mistake twice.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. We are standing by for the Cripps decision. I've got an earpiece directly to the tribunal, so I'll hear the outcome immediately, and we'll be able to bring it to you. Lots of good comments, which I'm hopefully being able to put up there tonight. Everyone's got some great, fantastic contributing things to say. And yeah, it's not a position we wanted to be in. We want to be talking up going into the finals, our first finals for many, many years. But we're here talking about hanging on to a thread. Paddy Dow finally got his run, Johnny, and everyone else. Wasn't the smashing game that we would have hoped to see him come in for, but I'm probably giving him a bit of a leave pass because he was one amongst many. But how did you rate his first game in a wee while?
Oh, look, it's this week's not about potting players. I don't reckon.
Right.
It's just overall the structure and the effort was just wrong. It was off. On in terms of Paddy Dow, what we were looking forward to seeing from Paddy Dow before the game started was that explosive run out of the middle to start creating opportunities for our forward line. I don't recall seeing that once.
Yeah. I wasn't hoping for a pot of Dow. I was just more referencing the fact that he's been well talked about. He hasn't got an opportunity for a while. This was his chance to come in and have a crack. I thought he was a bit standoffish. I can understand, you've gone from the twos for the last 10 weeks in the ones for a bit, but I think there was occasions when he was being the outside player, not the inside ball getter. But maybe that's what they wanted his role to play.
Yeah, perhaps.
Don't know. Andrew Lake made a very good point in terms of mixing it up in the guts. What did you say? Something
You've got it up there, mate. We look small in the middle, and not once did he try Jack Silvani or Will Setterfield.
Yep. Setterfield. We know Setterfield's played inside mid. We know Silvani gets in there and does the hard work. This is a damning stat, and I mentioned earlier I was a bit exaggerating when I gave those numbers, but the centre clearances, and I don't think this reflected the dominance of their ruckman. And Andrew said it right. We looked a bit small in there, and this is our this is our bread and butter. 23 centre clearances to 9.
Yeah.
Now that was the game, wasn't it? That was the game.
Yeah, and out of those 9, they didn't create anything significant. Maybe in that last quarter when it was all said and done, but in those first 3 quarters, it meant very little anyway. It either got chopped off and it went straight back over our heads, or it got bogged down.
Look, clearly we're missing. Jesus, it hurts. Big weekend on it. Clearly we're missing Kennedy and Hewitt.
Yeah.
So they're the crew in there have worked really, really well together. They make Chera, they bring Chera into the game, they bring Walsh into the game. So and Kennedy's absence, I think, is as our barometer is really missing. So I think those 2 losses has upset the equilibrium a fair bit in our middle, which is our big strength. But again, give someone a crack, have a crack in there.
Yeah, that's correct. It goes back to the point that I was making last week in my gigantic rant, is that the problem has been is we haven't run enough people through there. So and the inevitability of getting injuries is such a hotly contested area, we've got no backup.
Yep. Brad Miller says Kennedy will be back this week. Cross your fingers. The jaw will be an issue, but I think jaws are good healers. I think you can run around with a cracked jaw. I've got a high expectation that Kennedy will make a surprise comeback. We'll see what happens there.
I think the call was it depends on if his plates have settled.
Okay. Just get a couple of wires in there. That'll fix him up.
Yeah.
Brendan Scott, a lot of run comes to intercept marks, and that has dropped right away for us. Wiedering hasn't been the same since he's come back from his issue. McGovern has come back and done a fair bit there. Young is not going for his marks as much, so that's a good point. Doherty and Sard are still 2 pillars of our defence down there, and Marchbank will be much better for that run last week. Yeah.
A good point by Phil Axe there too. Things sort of changed a bit when Young went into the ruck. It was just changing up a bit of element surprise, held things pretty well.
Yep. Newman, another a bad loss for us. Has been very very solid. It is a loss. Your structures all do go out the window when your good players are going out. So, our expectation though is those players next man up as they've laid claim to all year. Next man up come up, and they just the next man up just really hasn't done it for. There's not Newman hasn't got a replacement. Hewitt and Kennedy haven't got like for like replacements, and it just hasn't worked for us on that bottom end of the scale.
Yeah, give Kennedy the Hannibal Lecter mask. Yeah, that'll do it. Beautiful.
That'll do. Jim Axius says our bottom six players playing at the best. We struggle. Yep, they're downhill skiers. A lot of our bottom six, I think. And we're at the business end of the year when everyone should be starting to get match hardened and doing it. And maybe there's an element of that, Johnny, that we just might be up for it physically.
Yeah. We just looked stuffed. We really did. Just worn down. But I also wanted to make mention of the training session the day before. Now, I know it's the day before, and you're not going to go hard and all that sort of stuff. But literally, they were just out there, just having a bit of a chat. And if you wanted to have a kick, you could have a kick. If you wanted to do one-on-one drills with the coach, you could. But for the most part, they were just out there chatting and doing kicks for goal, and sometimes stupid kicks for goal. What annoyed me about that is, at least have some sort of ball work, and significant session on ball work, because no two grounds are alike. Northern grounds and the Western grounds in particular are much harder. The ball bounces differently. So at least get the ball in your hands a little bit and do those ground drills in that sort of session. At least make use of it. You're not going to injure anyone, but you're going to give yourself a great sort of head start into the game, aren't you? It's going to takes you so much longer to settle then when you don't know which way the ball's going to go, type of thing.
You're saying that was their main session, not just the session for the fans? Surely that
was a session for the fans.
Yeah, I would have thought they would have had another solid hit out at some point while they're up there, and the kick around was just purely for the shits and giggles and the fans.
Well, I don't know when they flew up, to be honest.
Well, you should start getting your facts right before you start launching into blokes. Christina Pike, good evening to you from Launceston, Tasmania. It's a favourite playground of mine. Got some good friends down there and love to head down there once a year. So good day to you, Christina. Thank you for tuning in. Andrew Lake, Jesse Motlop's highlight packages continues to grow. Yes, big upside, Jesse, and I think he's going to be better for the amount of games he gets played. I see him, learning every single game, and hopefully the confidence level for him goes up as he gets more of the ball. We are mentally weak, says John Guglielmo. 90% of football is played above the shoulders. I can't dispute that. I was worried last week that they'd play scared footy, and I think they played scared footy when they got 4 or 5 goals behind on the scoreboard. There's been players openly say that their expectation was to play finals this year. When we were running hot, they had their eye on finals. I'm not sure which particular players have said it, but there's players that have mentioned finals. Our president at the start of the year said, with our list, we expect to make finals.
Mm-hmm.
And now the conversation and the few people heard from Harry McKay on the couch the other night sort of started to temper that conversation about, it's been a good year. We've had a few good wins. We've learned a lot. There's growth in there. That type of thing is also a mental thing. Is that conversation changing because they're shitting themselves now that they won't make finals on a year that they expected to? And I can't think of any. Or there's a few supporters now saying it's still a good year if we don't make finals. I just can't hear that. Just can't cope with that. Just can't cope with that at all.
No, I'm with you 100% there. In regards to the H interview, he said what he said. It all started a couple of weeks ago with the coach, and you heard my rant on that last week. That was an extended rant, but In this sort of circumstance, from a media point of view, is I'd say just go to ground. You know, have your necessary press conferences with the coach, but for the players and stuff, just go to ground. There's no need to address these type of things. It's not going to do you any good. I just can't see the benefit of it.
Well, they're going to get those questions, aren't they? They're going to say, "Well, what's happened? How, is this a good year?" They gave them Harry that great best question. And, Harry's not a great media performer, but you know, again, back to the mental side of things, that's clearly on their mind. They're clearly now trying to think and trying to explain to us supporters that it's been a solid year because there's been a bit of growth in the group. I'm sorry, I just don't think that cuts it.
Yeah, it doesn't, and he was on a hiding to nothing. Yeah, headlines, no matter what he said. So why set that up from a media team's perspective? It's not a given that we have to do one of these interviews. We don't. It's an optional thing.
If he said, which was the line from, as I said, the president, that finals has been our expectations, and we're still in it. We're still determined to make finals, and if we don't, we'll be disappointed. Then that wouldn't have been a headline. That would have been the fucking truth.
Mm.
That's what they should be thinking. And if they're not thinking that, I'm wondering why. As I said, is it because they're running scared now? I was worried because the expectation has been there, and now they're not coping with that expectation, or they've just know that the what's happening now with their losses. And let's be honest, those losses are fucking disgraceful losses. They're not. They're losses that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah, of course, and we should have been competitive on Sunday.
Harry's comments sound like he's accepting mediocrity by missing finals. 12 wins, great, but we're one of the best sides for most of the year, and now we're playing mediocre because the players obviously thought we have final spot in the bag. Good question, a good point. Were we really one of the best sides of the year? Back at 8-2? Or were we just up and about early start of the year? Now the heat's on. We had close losses. We had close wins. Were we really one of the best teams, or did we have our blinkers on?
Yeah, I think that that's a rhetorical question. I don't think that you can really answer that. But what Brendan says then gives me a little bit of, well, a small glimmer, the tiniest of glimmer of hope that if they thought it was in the bag, they just need to look at the ladder now and work out wins and losses and percentage, and will that be enough to give them a jolt to get them back, get their heads right in the heads in the same space again, the right space again, in terms of the backs to the wall. We have to win.
Yep.
One of the next 2 weeks.
Yep.
Sleeping glimmer of hope, but from what we saw the last 2 weeks, they're just shot.
Great point, Andrew. We are here to play finals and reward the thousands and thousands of players that have stood by this club in the last 20 years. That's the truth. That is what it is. We're here to play finals. That's what Carlton's about. That's what we were anticipating. We were promised from the top. On our list, the expectation was we'd make finals. It's a direct quote from the president, and a direct belief from this club. We went and sacked our coach. Because we weren't performing on the field. We brought in a coach that we expected to turn things around and change things around with the list, and that he was an experienced coach and went away and learned. Now there's questions raised on his in-game coaching abilities and his ability to chop and change and deal with games within a game. So there's questions. There's questions.
Yeah, I'm hearing a lot of the same rhetoric of just when we play our way, and not to the same words, but it's all sort of pre-planned and that type of thing. But the ability to think on the run and to make changes on the run that's what's going to get you into finals, get you deep into finals. Things don't always go your way.
They don't always go your way, and that's where our footy club stood up. And I said it last week. The positives: we had 3 games left, and now it's 2 games. And each game and each loss gets potentially exposes more cracks and more pressure to win the game because of that expectation. And then when you've got that expectation you're not fulfilling, you probably don't play. You play worse and you make mistakes. That 90% above the shoulders all comes into play, and and I fear that's going to be the case. We need to go out there and play the footy, not scared footy.
Yeah, and will that be the catalyst though? Realizing now that we're not guaranteed.
Mac Champion, good day to you. I understand you had a good chat with me old mate Johnny up there on the weekend. He lets
Had
me
a
know
great time. Great to meet you finally, Mac.
You're a top bloke. Kept saying we were top 14 because our percentage said so. 8-2 existed because we were taking games on directly and blowing teams away by halftime. A development journey evident by not crushing them in the percentage suffered. Yep, that was a fair indication, Mac. You were fair on the money. Andrew Lake, the disturbing trend of coughing up big leads in the first half of the season was camouflaged by the fact we hung on and won. Think Dogs, Hawks game, Port game, and even the Swans game, 100%. A lot of camouflage going on there with the 4 points. Still playing that 1 quarter footy or that 2 quarter footy that did get us over the line, and now it's come back to bite us on the arse. We're playing the 2 quarter footy and losing.
Yeah.
Brett Parker, you mongrel. Collingwood jerk. Have you booked your September holidays yet? Johnny's coming down to Melbourne to see us in the final, so how about that? We are still officially 7th, and that's the case. We are indeed officially 7th, and let's move on from the Brisbane game.
Please.
No
Never
update
want to talk about that game or the Adelaide game again.
No update from the tribunal just yet. Melbourne. Do you remember our claim to fame earlier in the year was that we were the only team that beat Melbourne?
Yep, that went downhill quick.
That's gone downhill really, really quick. I asked a few Melbourne friends of mine whether they would mind tanking like they did a few years ago, just to be nice and let us make the finals. But they're now in a position where their top four's under pressure. So you think they're not going to come out and breathe fire?
Yeah, they will be. They'll be seething after that loss.
They're a very, very strong side. They're a very, very strong midfield side. Oliver Petrarca and Viney at the moment, they would have a feast on the way. Our mids are playing. Have a feast.
And they got red hot wings as well too that are going to tear us.
Red hot wings. The only sort of issue they've got is up forward. So that's their weakness. Maybe we can capitalise on that, but if they've got those forwards, if they've got those mids and those wingers pumping it in, they're bound to get some scores on the board eventually. That's why I'm so worried about Cripper not coming in, because I think without him, we're going to be pushing the old SHIT uphill.
Yeah, I think so. In terms of selection, it came out during the week, and particularly also at the pre-match function with Mark Pitnet, that he was only travelling at 80-85% in the game that he played. I think that kind of showed, but also the start of last week he was very, very ill, so he didn't play. Now, would you play the 2 rucks this week up against Max Gawn?
Don't ask me hard questions like that, Johnny. Oh, theoretically, I think you do. But it relies on Pitnet just, I think, having a fairly solid game. It relies on that, and I think you exploit Melbourne's midfield by putting TDK up there and giving maybe Silvani and Pitnet the dual role in the guts. That's potentially what I see as being the benefit by playing the 2 rucks. Is maybe putting Kennedy up there to exploit their forwards.
Yep, fair enough. Yeah, Tony Emini. Geez, that's been a while since we've said that name.
Tony, g'day, mate. Thank you. Bless you too, mate. Hope you're well.
Yeah.
Pito plays if he's healthy, says Anthony Walsh. Phil X, sorry. Does Ed Kerno get a run last 2 games? Injuries will come out tonight. I don't think he won't get a run. He probably would have got a run if he didn't do his hammy last week. He'd be probably maybe first picked in the place of Hewitt and Kennedy. But I can't. I said it earlier. I think Ed's played his last game for the footy club, unfortunately.
Yeah, in the injuries, yeah, he is still. I think it was 1 to 2 away.
Yep.
Which means no.
So who's saying this? Russell Dobson, the longest hearing goes, the less positive I am. I'm the opposite. I'm hoping the longer it goes on, the more positive I am. To be honest, because if they thought there was a bump there, then it's a careless action, and he bumped instead of going for the ball, then I think he's gone for 2 weeks. But the argument that they've put up about it not being a bump, I think, is a very clever one. And it might downgrade it to not reckless or whatever it needs to be downgraded to get off. So I'm more positive the time it goes on. So we'll see.
So Josh Honey,
great to meet the JR Oracle. Expect you in a suit next Gabba game, he says. The Oracle. That's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, thank you, Mac. It was great to meet you. We seriously, Mac, me, and my mate Ash, we could have stood there and talked football for well past the game and well into the night. I'm sure we could have just missed the game and not even known. That's how it was. But yeah, great to meet you too, mate. It really was. And the suit, yeah, the Blues Brothers suit for next time. I've got to get involved next time.
Sign a few autographs while you're up there, mate.
Oh yeah, it doesn't.
Batting off the female fans with a stick.
Someone's going to do it.
All right, so okay, we'll have to keep going for the show until the decision's coming about. Although people don't want to see me smash my little office in here, it's probably not going to be a good sight.
So yeah, just backing up that injury news. Ed Kerno hamstring is still 1 to 2 weeks away. Josh Honey is potentially going to make it. Would you bring him in?
So this is tonight's injury news. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Okay. Well, big chance Martin's out, so I think he's a replacement, and I'm disappointed that he came back in anyway after some pretty average form. They picked him on hope. They're picking Martin on hope that he'll be the player he was brought in to be, and that to me doesn't make selection integrity. He's done nothing to justify a spot, and you could argue there's a few others in front of him, but in particular Jack Martin, I think, unfortunately. Cripps decision stands 2 weeks out.
Smashing the office. Stay tuned, people. Yeah, Diane Allison, where's that come from? Because that's still not on the AFL side.
I haven't seen that come through. I'm hoping that Allison has her information correct. Maybe it's a tweet from someone.
Yeah, it could be.
Diane, sorry. Or she's just a person that's trying to infiltrate us and wants to see me smash me thing up. Fake news. Okay. Live on Fox Footy. Okay. Reported through Twitter. That's usually a fucking good way to good reporting mechanism. Sometimes the reporters get their information before the fucking public. Do we have any other kind of appeal failed? Do we have any kind of other mechanism to go here? Maybe the Supreme Court of Australia or the fucking Constitution we can apply to?
I reckon Jack Elliott would have. He would have gone Supreme Court.
I can't see Luke Sayers fucking ponying up to go to the Supreme Court, but yeah, give us Jake Elliott any day of the week.
Yeah, back champion. Yeah, Fogarty was playing a little bit inside in the past few weeks in the VFL, I believe. I haven't watched a lot of VFL, so that secondhand news that I was getting. So yeah, he could be a chance. I wasn't sure why he missed out. He was pretty good in the twos apparently. I had him picked.
Protest, no Carlton fans rock up to the game. Well, no, the players fucking don't rock up, so why should we fucking rock up? Cheer Squad is posting that it does. Sue the AFL, an injunction that can be done. Now we're talking. There is another mechanism, isn't there? I think there's another mechanism. Can people enlighten me on that?
Does anyone know Michael Christian's address? We know we don't. We don't advocate any violence.
We don't, but my friend Wallard Trev does. He might tell you later on in the show. Travis Walton does.
And so I got this from someone else on Facebook before the show. Apologies, I can't go back and have a look at it without taking eons. But so someone said, "Look out for P Chips debuting this week."
You know, it's on the goddamn. There's supposed to be a live feed from the AFL side. Of course, those vlogs wouldn't be able to update anyone else. It's got to come from some bloody person on the panel. It's probably tweeting some reporter to get the fucking news before they give anyone else.
It all,
Jesus fucking fuck.
It also could be that their website's so shit too.
Just the organisations are
guilty. It's up.
Crock of fucking shit. Pretty sure we can appeal Thursday night, says Benny Evangelista. Appeal to the appeal. I do think that there's a mechanism. Benny, I appreciate you letting us know that. Can anyone else vouch for that? Look, footy, I get it. The head, you can't hit the head, but, we all know that the AFL are a bunch of contradictory. The MRI is so contradictory for weeks. Hayes gets 2 weeks for a fucking tackle. Cripps gets 2 weeks for a bloody going the ball. Someone punches someone or bumps someone, they get 2 weeks. It's just a crock of shit. It's a crock of shit, the AFL system.
Yeah. Russell Dobson, yeah, I like the upside to that. Cripps will be fresh for finals.
Talk about glass half full, Russell. I appreciate that.
I'm glass half full as well. We haven't played well with him in the team, so someone else to come in and we extract the digit and share the workload. That might happen.
Congratulations to Sam Doherty and his partner who announced they're expecting today, and that's fantastic news for Doc. Awesome. And that's the best news, isn't it? He's had an enormous struggle with his health. The on-field stuff has been well placed, but his medical situation, and that's an amazing news for Doc.
Yeah, that puts it all into perspective, doesn't it?
Okay, what do we do now? Let's keep in mind. Let's take into account that there's no appeal, and that since this is a public show, I probably can't say what I would like to go and do to the AFL down at AFL House. Do you remember when? Did you remember when? National Chevy Chase on National Lampoon's Vacation. Do you remember when he didn't get his raise? What the uncle did?
No.
Some other people will know this. The Chevy Chase on National Lampoon's Vacation Christmas special. He didn't he didn't get the raise, so the uncle was staying with him. Went and kidnapped his boss, and brought him around to the house and explained to him the situation. Maybe that's something that we could think of, and just maybe we can abduct someone and hold them for ransom until until the result changes.
I do not advocate this.
Disclaimer: we do not advocate anyone does that. I'm just referencing a movie, and that's all fiction, of course. If someone else wants to do that, I'm not advocating it, but yeah, we'll bring you live on TV if you want to make any demands. Cousin Eddie kidnapped his boss. That's who he did. Cousin Eddie kidnapped his boss and brought him back to in the big bow. All right. Please, someone confirm that there's another appeal, but let's take it as that stands. I've run out of whiskey, so I just need to go down to Dan Murphy's and pick up a couple of bottles. How do we beat Melbourne, and what do we do? Johnny, go right ahead and let us know everyone else.
I don't fucking know. But then again, I would have said that with Cripps playing. So, look, it gets back to what I said as glass half full. Someone else comes in. Probably maybe it is Fogarty who gets a go, Mac. And we start bringing JSOS in the middle. We start running multiple options through the middle, and all of a sudden it starts to work, and we start to get a little bit of momentum. We're not as predictable, and we sort of catch them off guard a bit. Melbourne would be absolutely seething for that loss, but they also might be completely belted up too, because what we can hope is that them and Collingwood pretty much played their grand final on Friday. That was such a tough game, so they might come in a bit half baked. Going against us is they've got an extra day on us and don't have to travel back. Not that should matter much anymore, but it's just getting that midfield working together again and playing as a unit. I haven't seen that happen for a number of weeks.
Andrew Lake, who many will know as being the Carlton Google, might help me out here, and he might bring up a few backs to the wall wins when we've been unexpected one with a few outs. I probably couldn't name them. There's probably some in the back of my memory that I'll remember. But Andrew, if you've got any good inspirational wins that you can reference that might help me feel a bit better for this week. Look, I think Stocker needs to come in, and look, we just need to fucking go hell for leather. I'll probably bring Mr. Plough back, but I think Stocker needs to come in and he needs to play a lockdown role that Sard's been playing. And I think Sard needs to move up into the middle. That's what I think needs to happen, whether it's a wing or it's in the midfield. That's what I think needs to occur. Kennedy,
do you put him toe to toe with Langdon?
Oh, for sure, 100%. You said that the injury list has been updated tonight. I can't see that as being updated tonight.
On the AFL website, it does say 9th of August updated.
Okay, well, of course it wouldn't be updated on our fucking Carlton website, but anyway. So that may rule out Kennedy, which will be, again, disappointing because I think Kennedy coming back would definitely offset the blow of losing Cripper. Can we count on Dow in the guts and Setterfield in the guts? No, we can't count on them, but we've got to do something in that midfield because it's where we've lost our last few games, other than the turnovers and the lack of pressure.
So my kids have given me the solution for Kennedy. We watched a movie last night, Robert De Niro, called The War with Grandpa. And one of the pranks that were played on Grandpa was with his shaving foam. They put fast set sealant in the shaving foam, and it was completely like a mask, and he was bashing himself like that. That's what we need to do for Kennedy, a bit of fast set sealant.
Send that into Carlton. I'm sure they'll pay attention to that. Luigi Foligno, love the way you look at the footy, and you've got a few great ideas, mate. throw Kemp Dockett into the midfield, stock at a defence, better delivery of our forwards, overlap run, go through the corridor. That is the way we beat Melbourne, is that overlap run, and not kick it to fucking May and Gawn like we seem to do. They seem to be magnets for our players. Our players sometimes don't seem to be very bright when it comes to doing stuff in game. So keep it away from those blokes. To be a bit smarter, drag May up the field. Harry's been keep Harry away from the goals as far as I'm concerned. So one of those two take May right up the ground. That would be the first thing that I would do.
Yeah, that's a good point. With your point on Gawn, I noticed against Collingwood he only goes to one pocket too when he's defending. When he's trying to mark that ball with the opposition coming out of defence, he only goes to one pocket. So for God's sakes, exactly what you said, do not kick it anywhere near there.
Yep. They've been using Gawn more and more down forward. They especially, I noted that in the Collingwood game, and I think that's in the absence of having a real Ben Brown's been spasmodic. He hasn't been performing too well, and they've only got sort of Bailey Frisch down there, kicking goals. So that's why Gawn's been spending more time down there, which is probably why it'll be good for Pitternet to play because TDK can get back and play and make some good saving marks, as well as move up forward if we need him as another foil. So I'd be doing that as well. Andrew Lake says put Setterfield in the midfield, playing for a contract. Anyone playing for a contract should be putting their hand up, and he should have to put his hand up. Setterfield was playing some good inside footy, wasn't he, Johnny, for a while there until he petered out.
Yeah. Look, he's been a favourite of mine for a while, but just been played out of position for so long. It's just dragged his confidence down, and your ability comes with it.
Who else have we got to come out? What about Owies? Did Owies do much for you? Kicked a couple of goals.
Yeah, look, nothing worked. Our small forwards have been shit the past few weeks. In fact, our forward line, not just our small forwards, just no pressure with the ball coming out of defence. That's something that we really need to fix. And if that's personnel changes, and if that's the ticket of Jack Martin out the door, if he's even if he's fit, do you get someone in who wants it a bit more?
Yep. So, was Jack Martin on that injury list? Because there was word that he may have done a calf again.
Yeah, supposedly going to be right.
Is he a midfield option? Is one last fucking option to see what he can do? Because half forward's really not his spot, and the half forward's been our hardest probably position to play for our game style. We talk about this, but I don't know if Fossey's going to do anything. But is he an answer to get something out of him in there?
Well, if you follow that model that we've been talking about for a few weeks, mate, of rotating players through there, absolutely his name comes up. And I can't think of specific examples of games, but I think it was late last season where he was thrown a bit more into the middle and really started impacting. Andrew will know the exact games and the stats that he got, but he started to make a difference. It started making impact. So, yes, for me.
Mm-hmm. Jack Sylvanian, Oliver Olpatraka says Andrew Lake. Richie Benacasa, odds haven't moved since the Crip decision. Find that weird. I do find that weird. Have faith in the lazy blue. What you said. Have faith in the navy blue, Mick. I always have faith. Every start of the game, I think we're going to win every game. I'm pretty down at the minute. Dow shouldn't stay at all, says Joe. Joe, he'll stay. I'll have to have another crack at him. I don't know if you just mentioned this the game or in general. Need to recruit more mongrel, says Mac Champion. Kemp, another big-bodied mid.
That's a great call.
They've tried to turn into a defender forward. Jack Carroll, another inside mid. Crisis creates opportunity. That's it, mate. It's throw caution to the wind. This game, it's maybe a free hit, isn't it? It's maybe a free hit now to go all out and do something, and maybe it does release a little bit of a pressure valve off the players. Okay, Cripps is out. Let's we might not be expected to win this game, so let's just fucking go all out. I'm happy to accept turnovers. I'm happy to try and to keep it running through the middle, and to lose miss out on a couple of goals through those turnovers. So they've got to throw caution to win and get back to the way they were playing, like you said earlier, that run off the half back. We've got McGovern playing okay down there. Young and Wiedering should take care of their backs. Gawn and May are keys to them, and if we can get hold of one of their mids at least and make it an even contest, then Melbourne might also be playing a little bit scared footy too, trying to make that top four.
Yep, that's a fair call. We just need to get someone to get Stephen May out on the piss, and he'll just belt someone, and he'll be out for a couple of weeks.
That's a good point too. That's
in the lockup.
Very good. Who else have we got before we sign off? And it's been a very good show. Thanks very much for tuning in, everyone. You surprise me every week with the amount of contribution that you. No, I shouldn't say surprise me. It just I appreciate all the contributions you guys make to our show, and all of the knowledge that you have, and the fact that you're there for us when we need a mental release.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Could be one of the famous wins, Johnny. Could be one of the most famous wins.
Could be. I'm not going to give a result in the margin, mate. It's not going to be positive. I mean, if you play the percentages, it's not going to be positive. But stranger things have happened.
I'm off, Richie, to get a bottle of the good stuff now. The old gin. You might, I might save that up for the last round. I'll either be celebrating or commiserating. One of the two.
Well, before we sign off, let's just say we hope there's not only 2 more shows to go for the year.
That's a good point. Just quickly before we go, the development is opening up on Icon Park on Monday. So,
awesome!
That's good news. The cafe will be opened. The newly named Carlton Cafe, given the name 1864, which is a good title for the 1864 Cafe. I don't know who thought of that, but that was a great idea.
Going to be a bar in there or what?
Well, there's a cafe, but Carlton supporters need a bar more than a cafe. Carlton Live might venture down there on Monday and might do a bit of a live cross and a live show. So if anyone's not doing anything Monday, or if you're still with us on Monday, I might head down there and do a little bit of live cross and have a few coffees and say hello to a few people. That'll be pretty fun, I think. Yeah,
great stuff. All right.
Thank you, everyone. I've got a bit of cleaning up to do with my office. Got a bit of soul searching to do about my behaviour. And I've got a bit of praying to do as well.
Cheers, everyone. Thanks for your contribution.
Johnny. So, everyone, have a good night. See you. We might come on Sunday. When do we play?
Saturday night.
Right, let's get on. Before we'll do a Saturday night pre and post show. How about
that? See how we go.
Good night, everyone. Thank you very much. Have a good night and see you soon. Go Blues.